You're training tons of set, you're eating enough calories, you're getting enough protein in, but your muscles simply won't grow, then stay tuned for this video because high chance that you find the solution for your problem in this video. As you can see, today's topic and hopefully also the solution to your volume and not growing muscles problems are effective reps. What are effective reps? Effective reps are the biggest driver of hypertrophy. So if you're training tons of volume, but you don't get enough effective reps in, then you're training a lot of training, but you're not stimulating hypertrophy very good. What are effective reps? When we're talking about effective reps, we're really talking about the last 5 roughly repetitions before muscular failure. And those repetitions are the ones that really have the biggest impact on hypertrophy. Means if you're training too far away from muscular failure, you're not stimulating hypertrophy pretty good. And most of you might think they do train close enough to failure, but as someone working with a lot of clients, I can tell you, if you're training a lot of sets in your training, let's say your leg volume goes beyond the 30 sets, which is something I often see, or your pull or push volume, whatever, then there is a very high chance you can only tolerate this much volume because your intensity is much lower than you think. And if you didn't know, now you know that we are offering calisthenics and weighted calisthenics online coaching. So if you are interested in learning impressive bodyweight skills like planches, handstand push-ups, front levers, or attending a weighted calisthenics competition, then you should definitely schedule your free consulting call for our online coaching, and then we will help you to make sustainable gains, get rid of your discomforts, learn the movement patterns correct, and just progress with a lot of fun. So I hope to see you in the consulting call soon. Let's take a look at the problem that we're creating. And let's say we are talking about an athlete who has a leg day where he starts with 5 sets, 12 repetitions of a leg press. And now we're doing something that we like to call a widowmaker set. That means you take exactly the same weight that you would regularly do on the leg press and you go M-rep. So as many reps as possible. And what you think in your head is someone pointing with a gun at you and says 1 more rep. And you really go until you can't push it anymore. Still proper form, of course, but really failure. In our random widowmaker M-rep set example, this athlete then did 21 repetitions, which automatically means those 12 repetitions, at least in the first set, which is the most stimulating set because the fatigue accumulated in the muscle is the lowest. So the most stimulating set was 9 reps in reserve. So we're probably talking about a stimulus that barely creates any hypertrophy. So if we're doing 5 sets of those, we just create a very, very little stimulus. Probably in the last 2 sets, there are a few stimulating repetitions in, but this one widowmaker set probably has more effective reps as those 12, 5 times 12, 5 sets on the leg press. So when it comes to stimulating hypertrophy and you are not sure if you are training hard enough, don't push more and more and more volume, push your intensity. And how you can do that in a program fashion, I will show you now. If you are wondering why there's 300 of those boxes standing behind me, in roughly 2 weeks, we will have our big elbow sleeves and belts pre-order drop. What is a pre-order? A pre-order saves you an upcoming product. That means after you pre-order, you will have to wait a couple of weeks until the stock actually arrives here in our office so we're able to send it out. But as you know, with the sleeves, we're a smaller company. That means the actual pieces per size are pretty limited. Same with the belts. So if you want to make sure you are the first one to get yours and you want to get the right size before it's sold out, make sure to set up your pre-order if I announce it, and then you will definitely be one of the lucky guys or girls who get the right size for the belt and for the sleeves. In this part of the video, I want to give you 3 options that you can use for your program to really make sure that you are working in a very stimulating area of hypertrophy. So very close to failure, but at the same time, those strategies will help you to balance the overall fatigue caused by heavy sets, because we still want to make sure that we're training close to failure, but not always 100% at failure. Because otherwise, this will probably limit over time the amount of training that we can do, because we need to deload earlier or we're running earlier into overloading issues for certain structures that are getting stressed too much. So there's nothing wrong with training all sets to failure, but it just has some downsides. And so we are using structures that are a bit more smart and train within the effective range, but a bit further away from failure, allowing for more overall training if you zoom out on the time scale to happen. Option 1, which works very, very great, is you just take a fixed weight on an exercise. So let's say we're working with 200 kg on the leg press. Your first set, which will be your top set, you go for as many reps as possible, RPE 10. This is what you will do if you introduce an exercise for the first time and you don't really know how much you can push on it. Then you do M-rep to failure, and for your back off sets, in this case two back off sets, random number, you have a reps drop. So you then know, okay, first set I did 20 repetitions with 200 kg. In order to have 2 to 3 reps in reserve for the second set, which is still highly stimulating, but does not accumulate too much fatigue, what you can do is then go with 2 to 3 repetitions down per set. And then you're making sure that you're considering the pre-fatigue, but you're still working very close to failure. Option 2, if you have to balance more fatigue in your training program because you're more strength-biased athlete and not only a bodybuilder who just cares about hypertrophy, but you still need to balance fatigue a lot in your program to be able to push heavy loads, we may be preferring option 2, because going all in on a very heavy leg press will probably limit your ability to push load in the primary leg sessions or in your secondary leg session. So what we're doing, we're not doing in as many reps as possible set alone, but we give it an RPE stop. Only works if we did that once. So we need to know how much repetitions roughly we can do. Next session, you give it a stop at an RPE 7. So you know roughly that reps area, but you stop once you have this RPE 7 feeling. So it's very hard, tempo slows down, muscle starts to burn, but you know you could go for a couple of repetitions more. And then you do 2 back-offs, again, random example, with the same number of repetitions, but you give it a small load drop. And how big that load drop is, you need to figure out. Probably something in the range 5 to 15% to be able to still push the same intensity, like close to failure, but not 100% all in. Works very great. And option 3 is something that also works very great, because people sometimes need a few sets to get into the mood and to be able to really grind. In theory, not the best option, because we know the first set always stimulates hypertrophy the best because of less pre-fatigue, but still works great. You know, theory is one thing, practice is the other. By the way, this is something that works pretty great for me because I'm one of those who cannot really push all in the first set. I just need to get into the right technique, need to get in the mood. I need a bit of pre-fatigue actually to be able to push that hard. So even though I'm warm, what we're going to do is fixed repetitions. So we say we're going to do 10 repetitions on the leg press, and we have a starting weight. And each set that we did not hit with those 10 repetitions, our RPE goal of 7 or 8, we increase the load. So we're doing that until we hit that failure point we discussed in before. So if our failure point will be an RPE 7, it maybe takes me 3 sets with 10 kg increments per set to reach it. Maybe it takes me 5 sets, and then in the next week I know I just need to put the starting weight a bit higher, and then I can progress like this. So these 3 strategies have been working very, very great for me and my clients to be able to push hard enough so we avoid too much junk volume, but at the same time those strategies allow us to balance hypertrophy work with the fatigue that those are coming with, because we need to make sure that we're balancing fatigue as strength athlete, as fatigue will always harm our power output and we need higher power outputs. So have fun trying them out. As always, get creative, don't be afraid to make mistakes, and push hard.